So today I'm with my good friend Rita Varga, and today we're going to talk about all those kind of trends that you hear on conferences, that you hear on the webinars. There are plenty, but we want to talk about the real one, the one which are only noise, the one which are only the one that you have to talk about because everyone is talking about it. So today I really want to discuss and to drill into those topics a bit more deeper with my good friend Rita. And voila. So today we're going to as well have some drinks.
Chin chin.
Cheers to you, Rita, as well.
Thank
Some
you.
what is it? What are we drinking?
Mimosa. I
Mimosa.
love mimosa. Go.
Here we go. So my name is Thibaut Catala. I'm the founder of Catala Consulting, and this is HXT 212.
HXD 212.
You must see a lot of topics which are coming back, and we talk as well offline as well on the trend that you are seeing. You told me okay, if I come to record with you, I don't want to talk about the usual. But what do you mean by those usual?
Usual. I still remember one of the first conferences I attended. There was this huge ball, like a thinking cloud, and there was a smaller thinking cloud. It's like big data, small data. And then throughout the years, data is oil, and data is king, and data is, and then like what does actually data mean? And a couple of weeks ago, we had in the program the web agency of Citizen M, who said Citizen M had a lot of data, including like what temperature people liked in their rooms, like they really had that measurement.
Yeah.
But like no one did anything with it. Like why do you measure
But
things?
it's important. I like it.
Yeah, but what do you do with it?
Okay.
Like, if you know
Yeah.
that your guests like 25 degrees
Yeah.
in their room, like, oh my electricity bill is going to be so high because they
so-
went. You know what do you do? Like, do you buy the right equipment to accommodate like the average temperature? You know in your expenses that this is the cost for. Heating that you have to expect. Like, what do you do with it? Or you just give them an extra blanket because you want them to feel more accommodated in the temperatures that they fit. You know, like if there are no concrete actions surrounded by it, I don't care if there is data because I'm not going to use it. So that's one of the
That's kind of the
things.
usual stuff that you hear. The data is a big one, which you saw as well. I see this topic happening for the last 5, 6, 8, 10 years more.
I've been 15 years and it's been 15 years of
Okay, okay. So data is one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing. Now it's guest experience.
Yeah.
It was experience economy. There was like pre-COVID 2019. It was we are in the era of experience economy. It's the same thing. Is measuring guest expectations and building our guest journey around our segments. But it's always getting a different name. Yet the frameworks around it never change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. So you're saying you see some trend that people keep talking about for the last 5, 6, 7, 15 years, but there's no real progress around it. And that data is one. Do you have any other examples around this?
about data.
About any kind of trends?
Any kind of trends.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the most banal thing, AI, right?
But AI is more recent. I have to give credit
Okay.
to...
Okay, generational targeting.
Okay, very good.
15 years ago, and I say it quite a lot now. I am a millennial. You are a millennial. Gen Y
That's
in the team of experience. I think I care a lot about purposeful economy and purposeful travel. There is a big trend, a real trend of solo female travel.
Okay.
And this is all by our generation.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. I had this discussion on a panel in September. Because for example, sustainability, right? Only our employees care about who are Gen Z.
Okay.
Your employees right now, on the grassroots level, might now be Gen Z, but these people in 10 years they are going to carry the economy.
Okay.
So and like, oh, the only ones who care about is my employees, who are, by the way, none of them is in leadership level. Yeah, but this is very, very much going to change.
Yeah.
And I did say in that panel, I don't want to hear the same thing that happened with the millennials. Then it's like, oh my God, it's here. What shall we do? Because they expect so much. I heard someone complaining about cash versus card payments the other day, and I'm
Okay.
like,
Cash. We are still talking about cash. Excellent. Okay.
you know, or the fact that let's put in a trend, hotel room design. We are thinking as what cool is with our own eyes versus asking our guests. Therefore, you have a TV that is built in as a mirror in your room, yet when you arrive at the reception, before you enter your room, you have to fill out 3 papers.
I see the
And this is still like, what is trendy in your eyes is not what is efficient and impacts the travel experience for your guests.
But why do you think those kind of trend that people keep talking about for the last few years are still at the same level it was a few years ago? What's the issue? What's the root issue behind this?
The frameworks around it didn't change.
Okay.
The way we think as leaders.
I think it's the mindset.
The mindset, yeah.
Mindset didn't change.
Yeah. We do a workshop in our program called Modern Retailing. It's done with a guy called Mark Lennon, who is coming from Travelport. So he has done airlines retailing. And he always asks in the first question, like, tell me brands that you like in retailing. Then the second one is, what are the features that you like about those brands and tools, like platforms, like Uber? What do you like about Uber? I always say ASOS, like the clothing, because it's very targeting, it's very easy user experience. And then try to say it in, try to translate what we could do in hospitality and what is stopping it. And there is already a limitation on retailing, on people's thoughts about what can be retailed in a hotel. But what is stopping it? It's always leadership. And everyone independently comes up that what is stopping it is leadership. So it's the people's mindset.
But because is it a generation issue where you have the leadership which is getting a bit older, and it's why that maybe no one to innovate, or they're a bit stuck in it was better before, or what? I understand leadership, but why leadership is so stuck in the past, or they don't want to innovate as fast, at least, as other industry, for example?
Because we're all human.
Okay.
And I think as a human nature resists new change.
Okay.
Yeah, that's number one. I don't think that it's a generational issue necessarily. There are things that are changing in every generation, and it makes it easier. But for example, a lot of general management and budget carriers, they don't come from technology, or they don't come from fully understanding the big picture. And there is an issue with trust. Trusting your employees to make decisions that you don't necessarily understand to its full extent. Let your employees make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and come out on the better side of it. And that's where the best leadership comes from, is trusting your people. And because all this technology, you have about 55 systems, you can't understand all of them. Like, even if you want to understand, like you and I that know technology, you don't understand the full capabilities of all of that. So you have to rely on people that do it.
That's amazing. So that's really cool what you're saying, because all the assumption that we have about hotel tech, about innovation, about change, about the future, it all come back to the people. It all come back to human. It all come back to people. It all come back to leadership and the way we present and we push. So it's all about creating the right culture. Because right now I feel, and that's something which I keep repeating, I feel the hotel industry nowadays, it's managed by spreadsheet. is managed by data. We're going back to
Yeah.
data, and it seems that we are starting to forget about the people behind, the human behind, and that's maybe where the main root of all of this is starting from. What do you
Or
say
we
on
want
this?
to, or we are, or we. Sometimes I think it's even the other way around.
In which way?
In like it's people resist it to be more data.
Yeah.
But it's actually somewhere in the middle, and that's kind of like trendy to say as well. Huh? It's like we have to have the right balance and all these things, but we do have to have the right balance and identify what are the processes the humans can carry with the help of data, and what are the things that technology can carry for you.
Okay.
No.
So it's balance.
It's a balance that should be turned around more in the industry.
Understand. Yeah, no, that's
You're
actually
looking
quite
all the time in the camera, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shall I look in the camera as well?
You can. It's all good. You mentioned about you mentioned about net revenue or about the net revenue offline. You mentioned about the net revenue, which was actually quite a big topic.
Yeah.
Do you think it's noise? Do you think it's a real trend? Do you think it's something which we should talk more about, or do you think it's
well, it's something that I'm very much behind.
Okay.
For two reasons. Okay. Here comes the end side of things. No, I love this company called GeoAnalytics. We work together. We've worked together for some time now. And basically they gather data and make it sensible. Mm-hmm. For me, they are the ones who, like, even if you are not, your job has nothing to do with data, they make it visible to you. Okay. So in that aspect, collecting everything that is cost to get to the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So we are always talking about the top line, revenue, ADR, FPAR, blah, blah, blah. And there are all these things, and it's just getting more and more and more in terms of distribution costs. And we really should. We really should. Well, now I'm there. Okay.
Now you know where I'm going.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. As a revenue manager, I've seen revenue management for the last 15 or 20 years, if not more. How old I am. But I feel as well, okay, don't get me wrong. Net RevPAR, net revenue is still super duper important. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that it's still kind of the top of the iceberg. Like, even when I talk to hotels, I still need to tell a lot of people what I do. Mm-hmm. What is revenue management about? Yeah. So I will start with the fundamentals of RevPAR, of rooms revenue. The prices can change every day. Yeah. That's kind of the basics. Yeah. And then step by step going into this kind of thing. I want, for example, if you're just starting with revenue management, I won't go straight into net revenue. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. I will do like step by step. Fixing the fundamentals first, and then step by step adding some complexity. And then for the most advanced, I will then go into BI tool, which are like we know Vasily and Gio quite well, and go into the net RevPAR analysis. And that's super duper relevant. Yeah. But it's still kind of a luxury to have and not a must have. Or you're not.
What is the business like when you do a presentation? Yeah. What is the business owner interested in?
Profitability.
This or this?
Of course, bottom line. Understand.
I'm just very practical.
No, also, you're right.
Also, one thing, I'm not a revenue manager. So good luck with that.
That's all you can say. No, but it's okay. I hear you. Profitability is all about is very important, and I think. Let me backtrack a bit here. I do believe the moving from good revenue manager to the best revenue managers, I do believe the best revenue managers consider the top line and the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So I look at both ways. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Most of the revenue managers I know focus on the top line and don't look at the bottom line. Yeah. Not because they don't want, maybe they don't have time, maybe they don't have the right analytics to look at. That's also quite difficult as well sometimes to combine and the cost and the revenue. Yeah. But I see like you're totally right. The future of revenue management will focus a bit more, even a lot more, should focus a lot more into the profitability and the bottom line.
It's kind of the same like with any business. Yeah. Kind of at the end of the day. Yeah. I was just looking at the cost, travel costs of mine for this year. I'm done traveling after you.
Well, it's only only a few days away.
But you know, it's part of you can you can build your revenue, but you have some of these little lines along the way
Yeah.
that you are not even thinking about, and then you can celebrate this. But if you end up with this, and there are 20 little things in the
Yeah.
middle,
No, sure. I mean,
it's good.
it's interesting. Okay, net revenue is important,
Yes.
as we just talked about. But what do you think is the future of revenue management? You as a non-revenue manager
Me as a
position,
non-revenue manager.
what do you think? Where do you think it's going?
I think. Okay, shall we get into the attribute-based pricing,
Do you think so?
retailing stuff? I think thinking in hospitality as a non-hospitality revenue manager
Yeah.
is the way forward in the best way possible.
Okay.
Because I think there is still this the well-being, the guest experience, as
Yeah.
you say, should be in the middle,
Yeah.
versus looking at how much I would actually pay if I could have this plant in the room,
Okay.
and not taking for granted that this plant is in the room, not taking in consideration how much it actually costs to maintain this plant,
Okay.
and how people's needs are changing when changing a tiny thing within the hotel room, or for example, I'm just looking at my kind of preferences. I went to this very, very nice hotel. They were like, Rita, we're giving you the best room. They got me to the top floor. Top floor is always the warmest,
Yeah.
right? And it was also overlooking the street. So it is in their opinion the best room, but they never asked me what is the best room. And
For you.
I was also like, okay, I would really, really love to pay to have that. So that's for me an example for the retailing element. Another example for the retailing element is, and when I'm talking about the industry being too human centric, every hotel more or less has a policy around early check-in and late check-out.
Yeah.
But none of those processes, I eventually have never seen a process where it was like, okay, I'm arriving at 10 and I'm checking out at 7 p.m. and I can book it on the platform so that I can really just arrive, get my keys, get into the room because I have a meeting, I want to be in my room, and my plane is not until 9 o'clock and I don't have any point. So anyway, just have this guest journey fully automated on the website.
Yeah.
It has to be, okay, you have an interest in early check-in, then you let the people at the reception know, and if we have a space, then you can get a space. And it's half retail, it's half people-centric, and it's half technology-centric.
Rita, I love over every time you blame someone, you start to have the French accent. I don't know. Do you want to talk about it? You have something against the French, Rita? You have something against the French? My God.
Do I?
I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave right now.
Maybe you complain too much. This is impossible.
Oh my God.
But you know, I worked with the French company for 7 years, so that's my legacy. There you go.
No, I will just...
It's the mimosa.
Probably. But so, okay, we talk about the net RevPAR, which is an important topic, and I believe there is a kind of a real trend around it, but also a lot of noise around it. It's a mix. But then something which is very trendy nowadays. We talk about AI, of course. That's very trendy for some reason. I think like we really need to talk about AI. But more specifically, something a lot of hotels are talking nowadays is how to move from SEO to GEO. Mm-hmm. Do you think do you think it's noise? Do you think it's real trend? Do you think it's something that we should matter or not?
Mattering noise.
Mattering noise.
Mattering noise.
So it depends.
Because
okay.
You come to the conclusion if you see like
before you go into this, can you explain
Yes.
a bit more what is GEO?
So basically, GEO is how your property can be found on different large language models, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
Perplexity, Copilot, Gemini has a
Yeah.
new model, has actually been
A good
showed
one,
us.
yeah.
And that's the most potential one that we kind of identified. But basically, it prepares you how your property is listed when someone is actually doing a search on properties wherever.
Yeah.
So it's how you appear there, and that's why it's GEO anymore, and not search engine optimization. But you come to most of it. You come to the conclusion that if you do your SEO well, then you
show up
will
on,
appear on the different platforms as well.
Yeah.
And because it does every single time, it does a search and backlinking. So if you have your SEO description really well done and your keywords very well structured,
Yeah. Then you show up.
ChatGPT is still taking those keywords into account when doing the listing.
Okay. So the
And
fundamentals are the
that's
same.
kind of
Yeah.
like there you go. So it's that's why I'm saying it's a mattering noise, because you still, what you have to optimize is SEO, and you have to do it well.
Yeah.
But it has now an extra purpose so that you appear on all these platforms and well.
And why you're saying as why it's a noise? Because you say it matters, but it's also mattering noise as such. What do you think is noise?
It's mattering noise because again, people do the search, and there is a generational shift as well. It's
Yeah.
like, but so it matters because there is a shift
Yeah.
to these platforms.
Yeah.
But it matters how you are positioned on Google and on Bing, and that's it.
So the real
That is it.
question, the real question should be more about how do I get my SEO right?
Yeah.
How do I get those kind of basics
Yeah.
right? Instead of jumping straight into GEO, which is
Yeah.
kind of the top of the iceberg once again, and
Yeah.
not the real
Yeah.
issue. Okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
and for example, we had this now in the last program as well. Understanding Google Analytics data,
Yeah.
how you can translate it into revenue management, what is the relevant data that you can use, all goes back to the SEO element, and it is considered the basic.
Yeah.
Right? As for any marketing or digital marketer,
Yeah.
Google Analytics should be a basic. So sometimes it's so much more important to go back and get the basics right
That's
than
key. Yeah.
start riding on the horse. And also you mentioned the AI, and I don't know when you want to get into there, but it's again, sometimes I get inquiries or questions or just hearing stories on, oh, I signed up to this 20,000 euro AI course. Or I got my team onto this AI, we have this AI meeting. And I'm like, what you should get right, I have this process meeting. I don't have an AI meeting, I have a process meeting.
Always around this topic of AI, and you mentioned about the human and the hotels, which seems to a bit overestimate their knowledge or their digital maturity as such. Do you believe they tend to overestimate or underestimate, or they're good with where they are? What's your feeling about the state of the hospitality industry here?
Have you ever spoken to someone who said to you, like, I think I'm very tech savvy as a hotelier?
Yeah, every day.
And doesn't it kind of mean
And
kind of the opposite?
And they use a Google Calendar as a PMS. Yes. I know you can say that.
I think there is a lot of maturity, there is a lot of change. I've been so negative throughout all this time, so I have to be like a little bit more positive.
Optimistic.
A little bit more optimistic. But I think there is a genuine shift into hotels creating a new role for people to be focused on tech evaluation, on being like a decision maker on different technologies or digitalization in general. So I think there is a shift that is going to deepen because hotels or leadership does realize that they need technology more than ever to balance.
There you go.
But they need someone who leads those projects and executes those projects. because one of the most important things in any technology digital rollout is to allow space and time to be fully executed. You cannot stay in piloting mode forever. And if you don't give that space, don't give that time for measuring success of a certain technology, then it's going to be stay in a forever pilot mode.
I agree. I will even push it a step further, where I always encourage hotel to keep experimenting, to take risk, even if it's a small risk or like a big risk, but like a lot of small experimentation to see what is working, what is not working. And I always believe that action will always be better than just analysis, making sure you wait for the perfect timing and the perfect people around and the team and so on. Just go out, try, see if it's working for you, and if it's not working, and then you learn and you keep continuing. What do you think of this?
Step one, and again, I had this discussion a lot this year. As much as we want, ideally, a tool can do a lot for you, but you take it for a very specific reason, to cover a very specific challenge.
Yeah.
And I think phase 2 in technology rollout is getting to know the full capability of that technology and being able to use it to its full extent. Whether that means like doing something risky because you are stepping into new territory, or just looking into how, for example, other departments can use the same tool and use it jointly. It's kind of like leads to the same thing, but there is a lot of like, for example, change of technology as well, because there's certain leaders said, oh, we need another tool because your tool doesn't cover XYZ. Yes, it does, but you didn't know about it.
To use it,
Yeah, so there is phase 1 is the implementation to cover. There is phase 2 of the full rollout, and it's also the tech providers' role to educate their customers on a constant basis. And then within that, you can take risks and you can try new things. And that's again like a leadership thing.
Yeah.
Feel free to fail.
Yeah.
Someone who is a very big, I'm drowning in my own perfection, feel free to fail and then start over and learn from it is
It's good.
the next trend.
The next trend, yeah, I fully agree with what you mentioned, and it's all going back to the leadership, making sure you embrace experimentation. You put experimentation and failure in the culture of the enterprise.
Yeah.
I think that's actually very interesting.
Yeah, but when we are talking about like digitalization and things, it's not always just stepping into new territories. Like I'm a huge fan of robotic process automation.
Okay.
There is AFI, there is RoboSize.Me, cleaning up your PMS, cleaning up your chargebacks. Like you can build so much practical automation and technology around like solving your basic challenges that you don't need to take a risk, but it's going to save you a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of cost.
Yeah. So just making sure you have the basics right, and then you can go a step. Okay. And you mentioned it about automation, AI and automation to remove and replace the staff or not?
No. No, I mean, if you
that's fine, but we talk about trends. But nowadays, I hear a lot of investors saying like, "Oh, now I have this AI tool. How many people can I get rid of on my payroll?" And that doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but so one thing is that sells to VCs, and the other thing is that is good for your business, right? And you have to go with two different narratives. If you are in the business of AI, for example, what is serving your VCs and your investors, and what is actually serving your business?
So you think the hotel tech companies, they have two different speeches?
But they should. They should. And especially if you're in the founder in the hospitality tech business, our business is so niche that you need a bigger story to tell to investors in order for them to understand the buy-in.
Yeah.
So it's you will have guests that have more experience than me in funding. But yeah.
I see that's very, very interesting.
So, and to actually answer your question,
Thank you.
technology or AI doesn't replace people.
Yeah.
It covers the part of the jobs that the people hate the most.
Agree.
Is covering the task that, ticking the boxes for the same tick boxes every single time. It's one of my first jobs as I was still a student. I did chargebacks to agencies for an airline manually.
Did you?
Yeah. And I had a daily target list of travel agencies and chargebacks, and I had to make the payment manually every single time.
No way.
Now there is AI companies for that.
And that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. And I hate it. I hate monotony. I don't know if you know, but I hate monotony. So that was like the most fraud identification, again with the airlines. But if we're talking about reservations, is always to fill out the same thing. Or, for example, if I'm talking about our own business, there are a lot of travel agencies that don't integrate automatically with the PMS.
Okay.
Right, so a lot of reservation work goes into someone manually typing in that booking from Africa Safari into the PMS. And that's something that kills the motivation. And people, we're always talking about talent and talent shortage and people not staying in the business and coming into the business. People don't leave hospitality. People leave bad leadership and bad processes. If you find motivation and constant growth in something, you stay in it because you love it, because it keeps on make you like. But if it's bad processes and bad management, which is happens in hospitality, then you leave the industry because it's not attracted to you anymore.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
It really resonated with me.
Yeah.
I think we need more of this kind of authenticity and alignment as well. And like it or not, I believe the next generation care about this kind of thing even more than our generation. So it's not like we people don't want to change, or they whatever reason they don't want to change, they will have to change. If they want to attract this kind of new talent and still have staff working in hotels, they will need to adapt and align with themselves on this.
Yeah.
I think that's key. That's key on this. And but you mentioned about AI is a lot of noise around it and automation as well. But what would you recommend to any kind of new students or any new employees to focus on in terms of skills to make sure they're still relevant in the next 5, 10, 50 years? What are the skills that matter today?
It's also like a good line that you read a lot, but
Yeah.
I think it's very, very true. Like the next generation of people are going to be the best product managers because they will be capable to give large language models the best prompt ever.
Okay.
So I think to a certain extent, process and project management is something that needs to stay. Like you need to express what you want, and I think the newer generation are more and more like, you hurt my feelings, my kids are like, that was the worst day of my life because you made it like hell.
And how old is he?
Yeah, the what?
And how old was your kid on this? 4?
Yeah.
This was like 4, worst day ever.
And
I'm 4.
There you go. But sorry, these are like the skills to describe your needs.
Yeah.
And being able to manage your needs is something I think very, very critical. And again, I just have to repeat, you have to work on the trust and building a sustainable framework around you, and being able to, that's another thing that we did now, manage your stakeholders around you.
Okay. What do you mean?
communicate,
So it's-
in terms of communication,
Yeah.
how you approach different people, how you manage communication. Because if you are like revenue managers were numbers people, they weren't communications people. And for me, all that communications management falls into partner management, right?
Yeah.
Distribution, partner management, all these kind of things. That's pretty salesy negotiating stuff. And so you need to diversify and be able to dive into different skills as well.
No, I think like the pattern what you mentioned about the skills, I believe communication is number one. Knowing how to present, or to communicate, or to adapt as well your communication to who you have in front of you.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
which AI won't replace. Like those kind of influence, those kind of presentation, communication, emotions.
Yeah.
That's something where I believe people in whatever industry, is not only hospitality industry,
Yeah.
need to focus on.
Yeah.
And the next one, I believe it's about critical thinking and judgment. Something which, you see, like we have AI agreeing on pretty much everything. Now you can tweak it a bit, and they're doing less and less.
Yeah.
But they agree with everything that you say most of the time. I believe
Yeah.
the human mind is very good, and that's our edge right now. It's on critical thinking. And that's not only with playing with AI tools, it's pretty much on everything.
Yeah.
Judgment, emotion, communication, critical thinking. I think that's where we should focus our attention.
Yeah, I should be more like AI, but yeah.
What do you mean? They're not.
I have to learn on critical thinking a lot.
You're not agreeing with, with anything. So
No,
as a
I'm
reverse of
just taking
ChatGPT.
it on board. Yeah, I should. Another thing, creativity. I think creativity,
okay.
like anyone you speak in, that have been in
Yeah.
different roles within hotels,
Yeah.
have one story where they were like solved a very awkward situation
Okay.
or like a nonsense situation. The other day we asked at the conference, like, what was the most freaky thing that you found in a hotel room? And it was like a crocodile or
Crocodile.
yeah.
How can you stick in a crocodile? in
Yeah,
the room?
there you go. I don't know. I don't want to know. And it was in Vegas or whatever.
Now
it's in.
now it makes sense.
But how do you solve when you see something like a
Crocodile.
situation? You need to get it solved.
Yeah.
Like
So you need some creativity.
yeah, always to solve issues, solve
But creativity,
challenges.
I will challenge you because nowadays you have AI creating some art in terms of pictures, of paintings, in terms of music and so on. So the creativity element is still quite. I feel that we can get to very close to the human creativity. Maybe there is less emotion to what you see in terms of art made by AI. I will still challenge what I've just said, but okay. So I think like what you mentioned is more the creativity of or more like a problem solving.
Problem solving.
There you
Yeah.
go. So there's kind of mix between having some creativity into your problem solving skills.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything to add on the skills?
What I like about myself.
Okay, very good. Do you want to talk about it?
I like
Do you want to talk about
but
it?
it's my favorite. Do you want to talk about my favorite topic? We're like trends. I'm trendy.
There we go. I like it. Yeah.
No, but is being able as a human, when you hear certain challenges, then I like to come up, your solution is A, B, or C.
Yeah.
So it's identifying where the gaps are and trying to fill those gaps by creating sustainable solutions.
Okay.
That's kind of my mantra or my
Ikigai.
yeah. Oh yes,
I like it.
thank you.
Anyone who knows
Yeah.
Google what Ikigai is.
That's the thing, and I think AI to a certain extent can try, but still doesn't. It's like data and revenue management. You do need the human element as much as you have the data and the recommendation from the best RMS.
And that's what
You
managers.
need- Yeah. You need the ikigai.
I think it's always going back to your why. That's what you mentioned.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
why you do this.
Yeah.
What is your motivation to do this? What is your vision and why you do this? And I do believe the next generation, and already in the task force nowadays, care more about the added value of the position and less about the paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, so look, I'm in recruitment.
Yeah.
It is never about the paycheck. I don't encourage people to take a pay cut, but I do encourage people, if your why and your passion is somewhere else, then the career ladder is not like this, it can be like this. And if you think, okay, how can we use your transferable skills to get into that role? If you don't have any transferable skills and you need to learn skills, how much investment are you willing to make? So we don't take it as a pay cut, we take it as an investment in getting into the new role, which takes you to where you actually want to be. The motivation of people is working environment, how much they can influence. Influence is a big buzzword that actually matters. How much influence do I have on an organization? And some people don't want any influence. Some people at some stage in their lives don't want any influence, but influence always certainly makes an appearance in any of the recruitment conversations that I'm having.
Very interesting. And you mentioned about transferable skills. I will ask you on this, but I have a big example which I discovered recently. I do believe the good revenue managers nowadays are always starting by being good at video games when they were kids.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you start to see what were your hobbies or your interests when you were younger. You know, like I like to ask this question, like, what will be the task that you spend time on and you don't realize that the time is what do you think, like is elapsing when you don't realize that I spend so much time on this. Sometimes you have this kind of capacity to lose the sense of time. And I do believe that gives you a sense of what you are good at and what you enjoy to do. So be it drinking, I lost a lot of time. I lost a lot of time when I drink. Not a good example. But for example, playing video games.
I was breastfed.
No, but you see what I mean? So I play video games. I lose sense of time when I play video games. So I like this kind of a simulation, gamification. And potentially being good in risk management is just a real life gamification of my skills which were good at video games. So if you always start by where your hobbies and where are your motivation, then you can identify what you are good at in the future. That's where we start if I were to develop my skills or identify what I'm good at. What do you think?
Yes. It can be like going to a psychologist, like, what did I do as a child?
What was your relationship with your dad?
No, it absolutely makes sense. I played Tetris, so I became a revenue manager.
Why not?
Yeah. No, I just started to think, like, what games did I play when I was a child?
And you want to know?
You don't want to know. That's not the podcast. But...
No, but it could be like I was playing outside with. I was very social. I had a lot of friends around me. I was always friends. So you see what I mean? I think that explains a lot of your root skills. And then you can develop it further later on.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. The important thing is because you can lose your skill. So culture. Is something that you develop in, and culture is part of the way you think about certain things and you approach certain things. So you can have a different skill set, but if there is a discrepancy in the cultural aspect, then it can be contradictory.
I see.
So story of my life again, but that's why it's very important for me, for example, for my kids, to be able to discover and not be stopped by that. And why we were talking about this, because skills and the future of skills. Yeah.
So I understand. So in a way, talent development is also very important. And you mentioned as well offline, saying like talent development is not a trend. It's not something which we talk a lot about, but should be more talked about. What do you think of this? Why do you think it should be more talked about?
Most of the hotel chains, groups, but even technology, anyone in the ecosystem doesn't have real budget or a vision on educating and developing their talent. It's more like, there is a €500 budget, whatever, 200. You can take as courses as you want. So what do? You go and take a dance class, or you use it for your gym, whatever. But it's not it's again like a tick box exercise. Like we did it.
Yeah.
Or you send them like the 20,000 euros AI course, like the other extent,
Yeah.
but then they are not taking anything in the long run. It's something that they can post about on LinkedIn, but
So
it's
what
not.
would you recommend to do here? What would be the best approach?
Plan, ask
they
people
want.
what they are interested in, assess people's skill gaps,
Yeah.
and create a plan. Like L&D is really important, and I think that's where the least investment is, and the least like thinking put in. I can also name like few examples that do a really good talenting sort of project management. But we we are always talking about talent shortage and people leaving.
Yeah.
If you don't have any motivation and learning in the long run, and you totally get into your comfort zone, you also as a human will look for the next challenge, because you do like to be challenged at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more like don't assume what people want. Work with them to build those kind of things.
Yeah. The same as guest experience. You ask your guests
Yeah.
what they want before you implement something. So you ask your employees what they want. And unfortunately, it's always the guest is the king, the customer is the king. In the bottom line, in the top line as well, very much the employees are one part of it. But they are the last ones to be taken into consideration.
That should change.
Yeah, and also there is, for example, there is a lot of promotion that you are taking in people. If you are doing a new role,
Yeah.
you don't promote internally. You get someone in, so people here are going to get pissed off and leave.
That's a big topic as well. The staff shortage, the talent shortage. Yeah. If you had a magic wand and you want and you had to fix in a single magical spell the staff shortage in the hospitality industry, what would you do?
Ask people.
Okay.
I think I would take away the job titles
Okay.
and recreate the job titles as it makes sense in 2021.
Okay. So, for example, in any job title, do you think we should change to make it more attractive to attract new people?
No, but like, what are sales managers nowadays? A lot of companies, for example, like the traditional sales manager, they're also taking on online. So it's not sales manager anymore. It's more a partnership manager.
Yep.
That is, that's like a basic example, but it's also very valid to call commercial roles these days, because a lot of people that are in revenue management are now also in charge of leadership roles, in charge of marketing, commercials, and revenue management.
Okay.
Which used to be like 3 different areas.
So you have some integration. Integration. And
so
integration.
it's more. I would create job titles more to the, let's say, either the KPI, what matters, or the OKRs, KPIs, like the goals.
But do you think
that the roles are attached to?
But do you think it matter and people will apply more to a hospitality job because of a better job title?
Because they understand the full scope of it, and then. And for example,
but I think it's just the top of the iceberg. I think it won't solve the full thing.
If you know better as an organization of what you need from your people, you will also know better how and where to reach out. Again, same thing as for the guests, we know the recipe.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a very similar logic for your employees.
Talk to them.
Yeah, is talk to them. During COVID, I was also on a panel where we talked about like employee benefits. That was in Germany, one of the German chains. They introduced the 4-day work week. Another chain introduced the free tattoo for their employees. It's
free tattoos.
Yeah, it's all just like a guessing game, knowing what people's goals are and who they are as employees. For example, night managers or people working in the night time, there is a certain group of people that love to be up in the night. They like to wake up late. Their most productive self is during the night time. So by knowing what you need from the role and who to dedicate it to, you will be able to attract those people. Or for example, 55% of hospitality employees are women. Many of those women are mothers. You cannot give 7-8 hours shift and kind of a non-defined role to a mother, because they have pickup times, because they have certain things, and they will never want to work with you. Something that I think retail realized way better than hospitality.
What do they do that we don't do?
Flexibility.
Okay. And we cannot have this flexibility in the hospitality industry?
We can, but we don't do.
Okay. I see, but
because we are so because it's I would say not job titles, but like job descriptions, job responsibilities is what we need to redefine. Like, who does what, how do they get to there, and who are the profiles that like to do these things.
So you start by the reverse engineering the position.
Exactly.
And then you find the right person for this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I will add another layer to it. I believe as well we also need to do a lot of work on changing the misconception that a lot of people have about hospitality industry. Because nowadays I found a lot of people, they see the hospitality industry more like a part-time job, like going into a restaurant to be a waiter for a few just during the summer to get some cash and so on.
Yeah.
But I do believe it's a real industry with real growth, and it's a beautiful industry. You can travel, you can meet people, you can do a lot of things. But I do believe nowadays there's a lot of misconception about the hospital industry, and we need more people to show them that it's not the case. And we need to evolve. We need to evolve as an industry first. That's kind of the root, as you mentioned. But then we also need to work on changing and increasing the awareness about the hospital industry to attract new talent.
The marketing side of things.
It's not necessarily marketing, because marketing would be like I tell you something which I don't believe, but I truly believe the hospital industry could be a nice one.
But you see, that's why when you are redefining job descriptions, you are not necessarily attracting the people to the hospitality industry. You are attracting the people towards a certain role.
So whatever industry it is.
Yeah. So then you can identify yourself in the job description, and you understand that there are roles and there are career opportunities further than that. Like yourself, I don't think you thought about what you are doing now when you were studying.
No.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
But it's also true that I wish, for example, for my own kids as well, having more access to information about career opportunities.
Sure.
We also did this podcasting during COVID, which showed different career paths, unknown career paths after graduation that is not being talked about. And I think it's the responsibility, us as a parents, as schools, as well as universities, to give like higher education, to give a better understanding of the career paths as for now. But also I don't think because there were no OTAs, nothing like this when I was at school, that to understand like how the world is going to tick, so that I can think about my skills, where they could lead, and see myself in the future. Was I taking it too far?
No, it makes sense. It makes totally sense. You touched on this, but I believe we should spend a bit more time on this. You mentioned about, for example, like you have a lot of mother in the task force, and the hospital industry is not flexible enough around it. you see, and we keep talking about it for lots of years now about gender equality.
Huh?
Do you think it's what do you think it's a trend? Let's drink about it. Do you think it's noise? Do you think it's trendy? Do you think we should spend more time on this? Where do you think it's currently the state of the hospitality industry around gender equality?
Oh my God, I'm trying to be not too political about this, but I will say a couple of things. So again, 55% of the hospitality workforce are women. Yet, and also there is a 30% increase in solo female traveling. Also, statistically speaking, 80% of the bookers are women. 80%.
80%.
Yes. So 80% of travel decisions are made by a woman.
Okay.
You can think about yourself, how you do the planning, but for sure in my household, not because of my job, but I do the planning, right? And this is a massive discrepancy, right? The people who are making decisions on the top in hospitality, it's 20% female leadership. Yet your travelers on the same profile are increasing. Now, I'm going to say again my example. I went to this 5-star the other day that had a whole section to do your makeup. Where do you think the lighting came from? Well, not from there. It came from above.
So it was not designed by
It is not. These things are not designed by women. Therefore, you can, if you never apply makeup, and you can also apply makeup if you are a male, I have zero issues with that. But if you are not the target group that you are thinking about, then you are just going to make bad decisions that impact your business short-term, long-term. And that's why it matters the most. Yeah. Because if we are thinking about purely on a business sense, if your target group is increasing, and by the way, your employees are there in that group as well, yet on the top there is no decision-making power from that certain group, then you are just ignoring one part of your business.
I didn't know it was that big. The gap was that big.
Yeah. In tech, it's much better.
Okay.
In tech, it's actually improving. So you have 26%.
Okay, so it's still low.
Yeah.
So
but
what can we do? What can we do to change this kind of?
Have these conversations to start with. Okay. Also, again, I'm not a fan of tokenization. So the fact that you are recruiting, I'm getting a lot of I need a woman, or I need a black person, or I'm always joking, but it's actually not a joke. I had an employer calling me at the very, very beginning of the journey. He's like, I want to hire more of this LGBTQ. Where can I find this LGBTQ? And people are laughing, but I don't think it's a bad thinking. They are not educated. Yeah. Of the why. People are not educated necessarily of the why, but the first thing is opening your mind and learning about it, and learning about these statistics, and learning about why it actually matters from different perspectives.
For example, this person wanted to hire more from LGBTQ plus. Was it because he cared about, or was it because he wanted to respect a certain ratio?
No, it's because it was trendy.
But you see my point. You see the point.
Yeah.
You see the point.
Yeah, but then it opens up. Then it is kind of also my responsibility, someone who cares and works proactively towards that, is then to make sure why, right? To ask the right questions, to educate them in why it is actually good for their business, so they understand the trend aspect.
That's a real trend.
And unfortunately, DEI has been taken so much out of context these days because in the past few years, it has become like a tick box exercise. And I still think it shouldn't be a tick box exercise. Of course, in sustainability reporting, you have to make sure in the EU, for example, if you are more than 150%, 150 employees, then you have to have a certain percentage of women in your organization, and you have to have a certain number of women in leadership positions as a business. So you have to kind of tick the boxes, but it goes beyond the ticking the boxes. And I'm not even getting into, there are underdeveloped regions where women are just starting to work. So there is, if we're talking about equality and not equity, we are talking about the same conditions being able to work in tourism or in hospitality. It's a Pandora's box.
There's a lot of work to be done on this.
Yeah.
There's a lot to. I hear you on the. That's why I didn't know I didn't know about the statistics. So thank you so much for sharing this. And I do believe that's a kind of conversation we need to have more for people to realize it's not only a trendy topic. It's also an important topic. And I will even.
I don't think. By the way, I don't think the gender issue is such a trendy topic anymore. No.
Okay.
No, it's the labor shortage for sure. To which having more women joining the business and making business more flexible so that more women can join. That's it. But the femaleness and also there is the. I had this other thing that was fun. I had the head of revenue doing a leadership session in our program at Rise Up about ideas to action. That was the presentation. And he came to the conclusion that emotional intelligence is the key. Now, that was a man.
Yeah.
And I just said to him at the end of the session, he's like, you just have to be a woman, because women come with the significant amount of emotional intelligence. You don't have to learn it. You are born with it.
Is it real? Is it real statistics?
Yeah. IQ versus EQ makes a good leader.
I think we can find both men
and women. But men are more logical thinkers. And women, because women are traditionally the caretakers, right? Okay. And caretaking is compassion.
Okay.
Compassion is the basis of emotional intelligence.
Okay. No, but that's
Did we just get into a new podcast?
No, we went into a different discussion. Thank you so much, Rita.
Yeah.
But and my last question before we wrap up, and I think that's also a very good segue, is around.
Can I just say something else? In my household, most certainly, but a lot of men confide in me that they don't want to get into a leadership position, yet society is making them, pushing them. And that's why, so equality doesn't just happen from a female perspective or from a business perspective. I think also men are put into that framework by that gender bias by society, that if you want to be happy, you have to have that certain career, that certain responsibility. You have to climb, you have to earn more. So there are a lot of men with depression because they don't want to do what they do, but society pressures them to do.
They misalign with what
they misalign.
Yeah.
So for example, in my household, my husband is taking care of our farm, which has been his passion all his life. I don't want to take any other examples, by the way, but it's he never wanted to be a manager.
Yeah.
A lot of his surrounding has become a manager, and they're mega unhappy. And again, because I'm a recruiter, a lot of people trust me with a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for that. And you see that there is this pressure over actual motivation.
So what's the society, what the parents want you to do versus what you really want to do?
No, and at what your boss wants to do. Wants you to do. Or you have a kid. Oh, then you deserve now a promotion. You have a child, so you have more responsibility. Da, 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 da. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have more responsibility. And I have a lot of people who are going back from leadership position to individual contributor positions because they don't like to carry that weight what comes with a leadership role, with a people's management role.
Yeah, that's a very interesting. And one last topic and a good segue.
Yeah,
it's around and it's still related to what you mentioned, accessibility. Do you think we're doing a good job nowadays? Do you think it's a trend? Do you think it's a noise? Do you think it's something important? What do you think on this topic?
Accessibility at the moment in hospitality is not sustainability, and it's definitely not CSR. It's a revenue gap that we are filling, and the industry is looking.
Define a bit more accessibility as well for people who don't know exactly where to look at on accessibility.
So accessibility for me is that hotel operations all throughout the guest journey is accommodating people with different limited abilities across the guest experience, whether that's temporary or not temporary.
Yeah.
Also looking at different age groups, so elderly people, what does accessibility look like? But, if you have hearing challenges, seeing challenges, just to take the banner.
Is it from a guest perspective or from an employee perspective, or both?
Both.
Both, yeah.
Both. We still don't get into account the employee. And that leads back to, we are complaining about talent shortage. Oh my God, what we are missing out here in the ability segment, because we are not ready to take on something that is new. Anyway, from a guest perspective, providing that experience, there is an EU law that you have to make everything that is within your guest experience journey or guest journey, all the way from inspiration to post-stay, everything accessible.
Yeah.
So visually impaired people, hearing ability, movement, etc., that needs to be accommodated and needs to be compliant. But it is now a tick box exercise because there is a relevant law to it, and you have to talk to your suppliers about it. You have to make sure that it happens. But a lot of businesses look at it as a revenue loss. So if they have a wheelchair access room, they will discount it versus increasing the price because they look at it as a disadvantage, whilst an accessible room has a lot of advantages.
Okay.
And can accommodate different other groups. So again, leads back to my value as a plant. Yeah, as a plant. My value as a room that has a larger door, that has a lower bed, that has, different settings within the room, and has a certain location within the hotel, most likely. So accessibility for me, if anything, is these days how we are ticking the boxes, B, how we approach it as a revenue opportunity or not.
Yeah.
Because, apologies, 17% of our population has any type of some type of disability.
Okay.
So we are talking about a target group of 17% of the population, which is about 320 million people in the EU.
It's massive. And that's okay.
And that's how we approach accessibility now.
Yeah.
It is trendy.
Yeah.
But that's a kind of trend I don't mind getting educated about.
Okay. Very good on this. No, I agree. That's a real trend that we talk about a lot of different trends here. And okay, before we wrap up, I would like to do a small exercise with you. You do it very short, like very fast, like you reply very fast without thinking too much.
Rapid fire questions.
Exactly. So yeah, just go with the flow and you reply what first comes to your mind.
Yes.
One trend hotel should focus on in 2026.
Solo female. I'm sticking with the solo female traveler trend.
Okay.
And accommodating more solo female travelers.
Okay. One thing hotel should stop doing immediately.
Talking about AI, reading all the articles about AI.
Excellent. And one skill hotel leaders must learn now.
Compassion.
Empathy. Okay. One investment hotels regret not making earlier.
Thinking about their employees, then I would say that.
Good one. And one guest expectation that hotel underestimate, in your opinion.
Online check-in.
Online check-in?
Yes.
Okay. And one thing that will still matter in 10 years.
Distribution, billboard effect.
Distribution?
Yeah.
Do you think it will still be big?
Billboard effect.
Okay.
It did matter, it does matter, and it will matter. And every 5 years you have an article coming up. Does billboard effect still matter?
Do you know who is sponsoring the billboard effect research? The OTA, by the way. You want to know my reply to this?
Yes.
One thing that still matter in 10 years, I believe, it will still be the human element. Whatever we do, whatever happen, we talk about tech, about AI, but the human will still be at the center.
There are a lot of things that can be replaced.
Yeah.
Travel can never be replaced. The experience, and I think, as much as I think like the guest experience or the experience economy is a buzzword, human experience, travel is a very, very human experience. So by excluding humans from that experience as the backbone of that experience, would never work.
100%. And same, like in a very quick way, define the future of hospitality in 3 words. No explanation needed.
Okay, let's go with personalized, inclusive experiences.
Excellent. And if you had one billboard that everyone could see in the world, what would you put on it?
Hospitality is cool. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because you're at the end of the day, you are right. In order to fuel generations, we need to plant the seed that our industry is sexy, not only from a guest point of view that travel is an irreplaceable experience, but also that all the aspects of the industry is sexy. So hospitality is sexy.
On this note, I really like it, and I think that will be the title of this discussion. Hospitality is cool.
Hospitality is cool.
That's very important.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you so much for being here with us today, and if you're still here with us on this discussion, we had a lot of fun, and we talk about all those kind of new trends, future trends, past trends, and why the industry is also quite lagging behind in comparison to other industries. Very, very interesting, and if you caught some idea here, I think like you can win it in 2026. So I think that's very important. And again, thanks so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to us, and I see you next time.